You're commuting home with Katz and Cosby. Now, here's John Katzimatidis and Rita Cosby on 77 WABC.
We got Congresswoman Claudia Tenney from the great state of New York.
She is terrific.
We love her. Congresswoman.
One smart lady.
Yeah, you know what? I agree on that. Congresswoman, it's great to have you here on the show again, and I hope you had a good Christmas and hope you're looking forward to a good New Year.
Well, thank you so much. You guys are too kind, but I love your show because it's just, laying everything bare, just saying it like it is. Everything's just the way it should be, and it's great. There's no mincing words on this show. That's what I really like about it. It's the way my parents were. My dad was from New Jersey, so I come by it honestly.
That's great. Now, listen, President Trump came out and repeated his support for Speaker Mike Johnson. The big vote is on Friday. Your thoughts? First of all, that's important. If the president says, I support him, that should be it, don't you think?
It should be. And the president knows that this is really important. And unfortunately, you can criticize Mike Johnson for what happened over the past year, and they were upset about him with the CR and these things. But we've had a very narrow majority where we don't have a consensus. He's worked extremely hard to get us over the finish line. He raised records amounts of money, records amount, got us the majority, which people thought we weren't going to have. They thought for sure we were going to lose the House. He supported President Trump from day one. He's an America First conservative. He's also a constitutional conservative. He's so smart. He has such great humility. He's a man of faith, and he never, ever says a bad word ever about anyone in our conference, no matter how much they sabotage him and trash him and say stuff, because he knows and he respects everyone, and he doesn't hold a grudge. He believes in redemption. He works hard to empower and inspire everyone in our conference. And unfortunately, we have some people who I think just want to get attention, want to leverage the speaker for something they want. And yet this is so important. And President Trump understands that he has a really strong leader in Mike Johnson, who was you could call him maybe an accidental speaker. We went through a number of people who couldn't get the votes, and he got the votes, and he put the work in, and he proved himself. Now, everyone's upset about the CR, but understand, I don't know why Republicans don't understand this. Right now, we do not control the U.S. Senate. That's controlled by Chuck Schumer. We do not control the White House, the Republicans. That is controlled by whoever runs the Biden administration. That entire massive bureaucracy that we want to get rid of is controlled by the Biden administration. The staffers or whoever, insiders there, they could have wreaked havoc on us if we decided to shut the government down, and they could have lingered us all the way through to where we couldn't get a speaker, we couldn't certify President Trump. We might not even get to an inauguration with a shutdown, because when we have a shutdown and the Republicans aren't in control, the Democrats control, and they decide what gets spent, what doesn't get spent, and they also reopen when they want to. And this is what Mike Johnson understood, and many people didn't. It makes a huge difference if say when President Trump was in office and there was all this shut the government down. Remember the famous meeting, Trump brought Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer into the White House, and he's standing there in the Oval Office, and they're all sitting there negotiating and hashing it out. And he let the media listen in on how the sausage was getting made, which was incredible. And that's how you make this happen. And we don't have that situation, though. We don't want pain inflicted. And the one thing about these Republicans, a lot of them are smart. I respect some of them. They have their viewpoints. But let me tell you something, and we talked about this last time I was on the show. Massey and some of these people who refuse to vote for Johnson don't have a good reason for voting for Johnson. They have personality conflicts, which is incredible that you could have a personality conflict with this guy. He's literally like no other person I've ever met. They don't understand or care about power, and you can't mess with it. Let's take a lesson from the Republican enemy right now, the Democrats, who fiercely guard their power to the point where they will not give up anything. And if you're not in power, you are doing nothing. You are accomplishing nothing. You will accomplish none of President Trump's agenda.
Exactly.
You will never get all this done.
And in fact, that's what I was going to hit on, Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, that until all this is resolved, President Trump's agenda can't even get going. I mean, it's really blocking President Trump and the will of the American people, if you will.
Right, exactly. And this is the whole thing. And I've said this on numerous shows. I hate, let's not let perfect be the enemy of the good. But we're dealing with legislation. I mean, every single member, there's 435 in the House, another 100 in the Senate. Everybody has a unique district, and there are things that they want. Unfortunately, with this type of government and very narrow majorities, we just can't go in and get a lot of what we wanted, like we did in President Trump's first term, where we actually had the House, the Senate, and also, the presidency. We also had only a narrow majority in the Senate, so we had to go through reconciliation. So we were limited by what we could put through reconciliation and what the parliamentarian in the Senate would allow, because the Democrats stuck together. The only weakness we have as Republicans right now, and President Trump recognizes this, the only weakness is the division in the ranks. The members who go out and say, I won't vote for Johnson because not any real, explainable reason, or I didn't get my little pet project in the CR, or I didn't like this, or I didn't like that. This is the time when these petty things have to go. We have to unify as a House, a Senate, and the presidency. And I think one of the really good things that I think we're going to do is we're all going to get together and really hash this out as a team Republican, not the House versus the Senate. The Senate and the House have to work this out, because we have even a narrower majority in the House of Representatives than we do in the Senate.
Judge Weinberg.
Claudia, it's good to talk to you again. I think it's absolutely essential that President Trump works the phones, brings people in for meetings, and makes sure that he talks to and leans on every single member of the Republican caucus. Just saying, I endorse Johnson, I believe, is not enough if you have dissidents who feel that they're empowered to block the reelection of Speaker Johnson. I
agree. And this is the other thing, Judge Weinberg. Think about this. We had an organizing conference for the 119th Congress with all the new members that are going to be coming in on January 3rd, hopefully, if we get a speaker. And all those new members coming in, nobody challenged on Mike Johnson. He was nominated and named our speaker. So why a week out are all these people trying to say, I'm not going to vote for him? Oh, guess what? They're on Fox News. They're on Newsmax. They're on other media posts, and they're saying he's not a real conservative. I will tell you, I've known Mike Johnson since my first day in Congress. There is no one in our conference more conservative than Mike Johnson. This is not about being conservative at the moment, although it's very important for us as conservatives. It's about leading, and it's about winning and making sure we get President Trump's agenda through. And that's going to require us to all stick together. And he has worked so hard. It makes me sort of cringe when I see the things that members are saying online about this guy. He's such a great man. He's such a humble guy. He never ever says anything bad about any member. He respects every member and really is trying to find a way to empower them. And many of them don't want to be empowered. They're kind of self-serving in a way. And I hate to sound like this because I have so many good colleagues. There's a good people in there, but I think Mike is the man for the job and the man for the time. And I know that about him because there's nobody more humble and true blue. Look at how this guy grew up. His dad was seriously injured when they were all teenagers. He was a fireman, got burned with massive burns, and all the kids went to work. He grew up in a poor area of Shreveport, Louisiana. He's humble and has humility to a fault. He works hard. He's everything. He believes in our Constitution. He believes in freedom. He stands up for things. I don't understand how much more he could do. And he's trying to do this job, but it's very, very tough. And not only that, they said he'll never raise any money. He raised a record amount of money this year, even while we had a presidential race, which, by the way, often in a presidential race, a lot of the money ends up in the presidential part of it. But Mike continued to raise money, go across the country, campaign in swing districts, go everywhere to work hard to support every member that needed to get across the line. And I think he deserves it, and I think he's going to do a fabulous job. And I love his relationship with President Trump. They're yinging and yanging together. They're very different, but they're very similar in a lot of ways. And I think it's a great relationship.
We agree 110%, and the Republicans should have the same thing that the Democrats do. 100% they stick together. If you guys have any arguments, it should not be in the press. It should not be on the radio. It should not be on television to show who has the bigger one. I mean, I agree. Enough is enough. You just keep it in the back room, argue amongst yourselves. But when it comes to the public, the newspapers and the television stations and the radio stations, you're all 100% together. Otherwise, I think the public will lose confidence.
I agree. And I think that's what we have to do. We can disagree, and of course, behind the scenes is when you lobby and when you advocate and when you get as much as you can get for your district. And that's what we do. Ultimately, our job is to represent the district, not ourselves. It's the district that we represent. I'm going to be fighting for agriculture all the time. I'm going to be fighting for small businesses and everything that I represent in New York 24, the lake shore of almost all of Lake Ontario, the Finger Lakes, Niagara River, all the way to the northern border. The border's super important to us. Upstate New York, fighting off these horrible policies of Kathy
Claudia,
Hochul. I'm going to fight for those too.
Albany is a mess.
Exactly.
We need you to do a lot of yelling and a lot of screaming.
Yeah, we like it. I
want to be effective.
Yes.
Yelling and screaming doesn't always get you there.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
Thank you,
Claudia.
And we'll catch up with you again real soon.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year. Thank you.